Welcome. Okay, hey, welcome to class, everybody. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. How's everybody doing?
All right.
How was your weekend?
It was bad.
Not so good, huh? Sorry, Darren. Sorry to hear that. Okay, let's go ahead and get going on this bell ringer really quickly. Take a look at this. Sorry. Take a look at this chart up here. Take a look at this chart up here, guys. At this for our bell ringer. We've got two countries. Like we talked about last time, these countries have certain demographics. They have a birth rate, a death rate, a life expectancy, and and an infant mortality rate. Okay, just looking at these two countries, Matthew, which country is likely more economically developed between the two?
Country B.
Country B, can you tell me why?
They have a higher life expectancy.
Higher life expectancy. And if a country has a high life expectancy, what is that evidence of? What does that usually correlate with?
Better healthcare.
Better healthcare, better hospitals. What else?
Less pollution.
Maybe less pollution? Maybe. Better nutrition, right? More access to fruits and vegetables. Is there anything else that a high life expectancy is evidence of when it comes to more economically developed? What about hygiene? Right? Access to all different kinds of hygiene products. Right? You go into the store and you have all different kinds of soaps and all different kinds of things that you can use to make sure that your body's clean and stays away from disease. Very good. What else do we see? Malie, what do you see up here that might be evidence for a country B being more economically developed?
They have a very low infant mortality rate compared to country A.
And how is that evidence?
Medical advancements.
Medical advancements, right? There's nothing more important to us than our babies, and so that's pretty good evidence. If we can make sure that our babies get to what age? 1 year old, then that's pretty good evidence of the things that we value. Okay, let's look at number 2. What might be one reason country A has a high infant mortality rate? What do you think, Michaela?
More babies.
Okay, well, usually there's a correlation between having a lot of babies in a country and not all of those babies are making it to 1 year old. So there is a correlation there. Can anybody give me another thought? Kyle, what do you think?
Like bad healthcare.
Okay, yeah, just the opposite of what we were just talking about. Maybe they don't have the healthcare system that another country might have. Let's look at number 3. What social and cultural factors might make a country's birth rate high? What do you think?
Women not having access to education.
Very good. If the women in a particular country don't have a voice, they don't have a lot of education, a lot of times they're seen as, well, we'll have them in the home and they'll have a lot of babies and that's what they'll do for our community. And that changes the moment that they start getting a political voice and a lot of education. Okay, very, very good. Let's go ahead and take out our notes for today. We are going to be looking at a very important kind of graph. This graph, it's called a population pyramid. And it really is kind of, I like to call it the, what is it, Swiss Army knife? The Swiss Army knife of graphs, because it really does a lot, and it can show you a lot, both about the present part of that country, but also looking back into its history, and also looking into its future. We can make a lot of inferences based on what we see. But your learning goals today, you will be able to identify and describe the key components of a population pyramid. You'll be able to read it. Okay, that's the first thing that we want to do. The second thing, we want you to be able to analyze population pyramids to determine what stage of the demographic transition model it is in. Okay, so we're going to introduce that. And then third, we will interpret population pyramids to make inferences about the social, economic, and political challenges and opportunities going on in that country. In other words, we want you to become experts at population pyramids by the end of today. Okay? We good on that? Okay. So, you will know that you are successful today if when I show you a population pyramid, you can make two logical inferences. So that'll be kind of part of your exit ticket today, whether you know it or not. Okay? All right. Population pyramids. Population pyramids are graphs that have a large amount of demographic information visible. Sometimes they call it an age-sex graph, because on one of the axes, it will have age 0 all the way to like maybe 80 years old. And then on the x-axis, it's going to have males on one side and females on the other. But if you compare males and females and their ages, it's going to tell you a lot about that country. Let's dive into it. Okay, so the breakdown of this graph, first we look at the y-axis. This is the one that goes up and down. You guys know that. That's just math. Okay? And we're going to break it down into 5-year cohorts. So ages 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and it's just going to look like a bar graph going all the way up, okay, until we get to about 80 years old and above. Okay? On this lower x-axis, the x-axis makes the base of the pyramid. The right side is the female portion, and it's usually in like a red or a pink. And then the other side is blue, and it's going to be the male portion of the population. And these numbers down here, you got to be careful. You got to make sure that you're looking at it. It's either going to be populations in the millions, or it'll be percentage of the population. Okay? So let's take a look. If we start filling this out by age and sex, we can start seeing some patterns. Okay, let's take a look. First things first. Does that look like a wide base or a small base? What do you think, Lucas?
Why?
That's a wide base. What does that tell us about a country? If it has a wide base, lots of people between the ages of 0 and 4.
The birth rate is probably high.
Birth rate is, they're probably having a lot of babies, right? Okay, let's look. 5 to 9, 10 to 14. Okay, it's going in just a little bit. But this group right here is called the dependent youth. This is the group that you're in. Why do they call them dependent? What does that even mean? What do you think? They're Kyle, what do you think? Dependent youth.
Like they need stuff from older, like.
Yeah. No, let me ask. Some of you have jobs. I know. Some of you are lifeguards, right? Babysitters. Any other jobs out there? How many of you are paying taxes? Do you pay taxes when you come and babysit my kids? No, come on. That's not something that we pay taxes on, right? And so, when it comes to this group, ages 0 to about 15 years old, because you're not paying taxes, you're not really contributing that kind of financial benefits into the overall population. And so, instead of adding into the population, you're dependent, right? And that's okay. Right now, you are an investment, literally, into our future. We want you to go on and do great things so that you're awesome, but also that you pay your taxes. And you take care of me when I'm older. Okay, what about these guys up top? What do you think, Matthew? Dependent seniors. So if these are the dependent minors, what is a dependent senior? Someone who's retired. Wait, are they not paying taxes either? No, not really. Not really. I mean, they're probably paying, they're not paying income taxes in the same way that people do in the middle of their lives. Does this make sense? Okay, so we've got the dependents down here and up here. That leaves the ones in the middle. Okay, the ones in the middle are the working adults. And Kieran, you tell me, a country that's healthy and has a healthy economic system, do they want a lot of people in the middle, or do they want that portion to be small?
They want a lot of people.
They want a lot of people in this section, right? Because that means that there's a lot of people in the workforce that are working hard and paying taxes to support the people who are old and the people who are young. These two down here, these two groups, these are called the dependency load. Okay, let's go forward. Let's look at our key. When you look at a population pyramid, just looking at the shape, just like the first glance, can tell you a lot about what kind of country they are. If they're a developing nation, or a lesser developed country, or are they firmly developed and they're an economic leader. It can also show you whether or not they've gone to war, maybe they've gone through a pandemic, there's a lot of things that it can show. Okay, let's look at this key. If you see a population pyramid that is more rounded at the top and straight down, that's probably a more developed country. On the flip side, if you see a big slope, that slope means they have a high death rate. And a high death rate means that it's probably a lesser developed country. People aren't making it into their old ages. Okay? If you see a little indent, what does that mean? Lucas, you said it before. You said that it means that their birth rate is, if you see it go in,
High.
it might be high, but if you see it go in, what does that mean?
There's something that
Something happened where all of a sudden in 5 years, people stopped having babies, right? So what kind of situation in a country makes that happen? Where all of a sudden people stop having babies like that.
there's the policies by the government that
Yeah, maybe there are anti-natalist policies. Maybe there's a one-child policy like China had, where it's like, we gotta stop having so many babies. Maybe there might be, what else do you think, Ethan?
Like an economic recession.
Maybe there's a recession, and it's like, we can't afford to have a baby right now. Maybe there's a war, and all the men, predominantly men, usually are off fighting, and there's less babies being made at home. Okay, these are the things that I want you to look at. Also, I want you to see, is there a difference between the male side and the female side? that can tell you also, Kieran, if there was a war. Okay, so let's look. Whew. I am excited to share this with you. This is not human geography doctrine. This is just straight from me. This is something that I made up because I love skiing. Okay? I want you to pretend that these population pyramids are a mountain. And this is me up at the top. Now, if I'm at the top of this mountain, I'm probably pretty scared, right? Because I'm not a great skier, but it helps for this. If I, as this skier, can make it all the way down to the bottom of this slope without falling off a cliff, I am most likely in what kind of country? Lesser developed or more developed? Lesser developed country. Okay, let's look at this. Ready? Oh, Tom. Must be in a lesser developed country. I didn't fall off a cliff, right? It just goes straight down. Okay, what about this one? What do you think? Let's test it. Okay, you're a skier at the top, going down, going down. Oh no, there's a cliff. This must be a more developed country, and so you have to parachute down because we're not falling off a cliff. Okay, that's Liechtenstein, a very, very wealthy country in Europe. Okay, so I always want you to remember the skier test. If a skier can make it down the slope without going off a cliff, it's probably a lesser developed country. Okay? If it falls off a cliff, sorry, you're in a more developed country. So let's look. Okay. Now we're going to introduce the demographic transition model. Okay? We can take these population pyramids and we can organize them into 4 groups. People who are very much lesser developed. Well, not people. Countries that are lesser developed economically. Ones that are trying to make it just a little bit further. And then another step further. And then countries that have made it. Okay? And the way that I want you to think about it is based on 4 luxury items. If you live in a country where shoes, a nice new pair of shoes, that's a luxury item, you probably live in a country that looks like this, a lesser developed country. Okay? If that's your idea of luxury, that's what your population pyramid is going to look like. If your idea of luxury is owning a bicycle, okay, then your population pyramid is going to look like this. Notice that it's starting to expand, right? Matthew, what does that mean?
Death rates are going down.
Death rates are going down, and people are starting to live longer lives into adulthood, right? Very good. So it shows the country's developing. But I don't know. To you, does owning a bicycle, is that true luxury? Is that what it is? I think we all have bikes here, right? So what's the next thing? Owning a car. Yep. And if your country, the idea of owning a car is the biggest and the best thing, your country probably looks like this. Notice that this is a more developed country. Look, there's a cliff here, right? And then finally, you have countries that look like this, where their idea of luxury is taking a vacation somewhere on an airplane. Your country looks like this. This is Canada. Notice how it almost looks like it's indenting, where people are having less than 2 babies per person, right? Okay. if you look at those on like a continuum, you have what's called the demographic transition model, where you have lesser developed countries to the more developed countries. You have wide foundations of lots of babies being born to not as many babies being born. You have a lot of people living into old age over here, not so many people living into old age over here. Do you see how you can look at the population pyramid and you can know exactly what's happening in that country economically? Okay, so let's try it. What I'm gonna do, I've got these, let's say you four girls, okay? Let's have you pick a corner. Let's have you come over here, Leah. Let's have you go over here so it's on a continuum. And you're gonna be over here, Michaela. And Mario, you'll be over there. Okay, let's try this. Everybody stand up. When you see a population pyramid that belongs in the shoe category, let's have you two switch. The bicycle category, the car category, or the airplane category, I want you to go stand in that corner. Capiche? Got it? Okay. Ready, set, go. What do you think? You guys go ahead and point if you agree, okay? I want you participating too. Okay, very, very good. This is Canada, okay? Ready for the next one? Ready, set, look. Look and go. Analyze and go. What do you see here? Do you see a cliff? Would a skier make it down? Looks like we've got some going over to the car mode, some staying. Okay. We definitely know that this is a more developed country, right? We see the cliffs. This is Russia. Very good. I think you're about right. Not everybody in Russia can afford to go on an airplane, but just about everybody has a car, right? Okay, so it's in that third level of the demographic transition model. Let's look at this one. Ready, go. You should know this, boom, right away. Very good. Yes. You see it right. I mean, it's a telltale sign, right? You know exactly what it is. This is the Saharan country of Chad. Good. All right, here we go. Next one. What do you see? What do you see? Some of these are going to be hard because it could be in the middle of two. Okay. All right. So this is one of the first ones where we've had kind of like I'm not quite sure. We've got some who are saying that it's in the third, and some who say that, I assume you're saying it's in the middle, right? It looks like it's in the transition between the second and the third. This one is going to be tough because it's Saudi Arabia. And there's a lot of people who are very wealthy in Saudi Arabia, but then also there's a lot who are not. And so it kind of throws off the data. So very, very good job, you two. You looks like 3, 4 in the middle. There's nuance, right? There's nuance to this, and not every single one is going to fit directly in one of these categories. Ready, set, go. Okay. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd agree with you. This is Cambodia. Now, Cambodia, at one time it looked like it was very much a developing country, but over the last 20 years, 25 years, it looks like things have changed for them, right? they're starting to have fewer children, maybe economically they're getting better. Guys, let's go ahead and end there. I appreciate you being willing to test yourself on this. What I'd like you to do now, everybody go ahead and look at your exit ticket. I want you to, on the flip side, there is a population pyramid for the United States in 2024. And I want you to see where you would put that in the demographic transition model and just analyze. Answer the 3 questions. Who has my 3rd one, or my 4th one?
It's on the thing.
Oh, thanks. And once you're done, you can hand that in to me. You are excused. Please remember full and complete sentences.